Hi there, this is Stan. Today I wanted to show you one of my latest projects which I called Material Lift. Recently I had an idea of building such a tool because I have a prospect of building multiple sheds or structures, wooden structures, in the middle of nowhere, and I plan to build them alone. And although various building materials like lumber and panels, etc., is of that size that any reasonable man can lift, still, when you're alone, lifting lots of material up to the roof of the structure, which can be quite high, can be tedious task or even quite dangerous. The panels, like OSBs, are quite heavy. They can weigh up to 20 kilograms, which is like 40 pounds. With the regular lumber, it's much easier because you can just push the boards up on the roof. It's really not a big deal. But with the panels or perhaps other things, it's challenging, and it can also slide and fall on you. So that's a kind of safety thing. So recently, that's the reasons why I started this project. First consideration on my list was whether I should buy it or build it. And I started looking on the internet for any viable solutions for it, and I found some. These tools were quite simple. They were based on a kind of ladder, aluminum ladder structure that had a carriage that could be lifted using some kind of manual winch. That sounds reasonable, but it's kind of tedious if you think of it, doing all that work, manual work, while lifting heavy weight. And the cost of such devices is tremendous, really. They're quite simple, yet they can cost $1,000 or more. Actually, I found reasonable in a sense that of their utility, in my case, for $3,000. So that's kind of too expensive for me, and I decided to build it myself. And so what were the requirements that I had while I started thinking of the structure of it? First of all, I wanted to be able to lift the materials up to the height of 12 feet. 12 feet is the height of the structures that I will be building, namely the cabin. This is the lowest or lower wall on the side of the cabin. It will be quite tall. So I would not be able to do it to lift those panels and just manually lift them up to the roof. I need to have a tool to do it. Now, I didn't want to build full length. For that, I would need at least 13-14 feet long rail or ladder for the lift, and that would not fit on my trailer. So that was another requirement or limitation, that I needed to make a reasonably short one first, and then I should be able to extend it. So I decided to build the rails I decided to build the rails 8 feet long, and with an option to extend them by another 4 feet through an attachment that I'll be attaching using the bolts. Now, the other thing is that I need to build it easily. So the best solution for me, as I have some woodworking tools or carpentry tools, to utilize them. So I decided basically to do it using wood. And wood is really good material because you can just cut them to desired length. You can form any pretty much device out of them. And it will be crude, but it will serve its purpose. And it could be relatively easy to lift. It's on itself. So this is another requirement that I had for this build, that I don't want to create too massive structure that I will not be able to take it from off my trailer and put it on the wall of my structures. So it needed to be reasonably portable. I was thinking about making support for that, but I decided that in most cases I'll be using it when the support will exist. Like support, I mean framed wall will be already there, or will be sufficient to serve as a temporary support for that ladder. So it will be just ladder based off rails on which the carriage will go up and down with the materials. Also, yet another requirement was that I really didn't want to make it manual. So I was immediately thinking about using some kind of motor, electric motor. And because it needs to lift quite considerable sometimes weight, I was thinking about reusing just regular car winch. The car winch has quite good capacity. They're a little bit slow for my taste, but that's sufficient, most likely. I can wait for the materials to come up that minute. And they have proper gear ratio to really have a small motor, but lifting that considerable weight up to the desirable distance. And I checked, and the cheapest winch costs around $70 on Amazon, and it is capable of lifting up to 2,000 pounds, which is pretty much more than I need. I will not likely be lifting more than 200 pounds anyway. So it should be also working quite fast, because winches, they tend to go slower as the weight, as the load increases. And the added benefit of the winch, car winch, is that it works from 12-volt battery, which is perfect in my case, because I'll be using 12-volt batteries, car batteries, as the place I will be using it is just middle of nowhere. There's nothing there, and I'll be charging those batteries off the solar panels. So I'll be heavily relying on them, and that's a perfect use. All right, so maybe I will go quickly through what components of that build. The whole thing, the whole contraption will consist of the rails. That will be wooden rails made of common lumber that is found in Home Depot, Lowe's, etc., lumber yards like that. It will use, I will build simple carriage for materials, that will roll on those rails. And for wheels, again, I'll go to Harbor Freight and buy simple, the cheapest wheels available there. And by wheels I mean casters, but the casters that do not move, it's just they move they are fixed. And winch, I will use just the winch from the Harbor Freight or Amazon. You can buy them really $60-70 perhaps. You can buy them cheaper somewhere else. And I will not use all of the components of that winch, just the motor pretty much, assembly, and because I don't want it to be too heavy, all that thing. So this the thing that I need to watch during that build. There is one note I want to make, that what I will be showing is not the build process itself, but the final product at its stages. As usually in the videos you may see on YouTube or other places, people are showing how they build those things with cameras and with or without the commentary. Now, I think I right now do not have the capacity to do it. It just takes too much time to position the camera and properly set it and be sufficiently diligent or disciplined to turn it on and change the point of view and so on and so forth. So I'll be showing the final products or components, and I'll be commenting, putting some comments how I did it, what I did it, and I hope that more advanced builders will be able to reconstruct the process if they need to. It's really simple. The build is really not requiring too much of work, and you can do it just buying basic materials from the lumber store and use the circular saw to cut them and use the nails and glue, all of that sort of materials. All right. Last final note is that I will not be showing the final, let's say, lift in use at this stage, as I need to wait 2 months until I put it to work. And I think this will be a good opportunity to make yet another video or recap of this build, this design, when I will be basically testing it on the real construction situation. And I will also provide you some feedback afterwards on things that I did well, and things that I really are not practical for whatever reason. All right, so I hope that this video was interesting to you and useful in some ways and help you in your projects. And yeah, talk to you later. Here I have, actually I started building it. I put it on my trailer because I didn't want to have it on my driveway while the glue is still leaking. So I have bought the 2x4 by 12, that's the length of the rail, which I plan to have extendable by additional 4 feet, but the 4 feet will be mounted on using the bolts, and I will build additional extension module for that purpose. So right now I'm building the main rail, and main rail is composed of the one 2x12 that has additional 1x4 connected to each of the sides, and I have glued them and I have attached them using the brad nails, so it's a very fast method. Here, because I didn't want to, what I used for the side rails, it's basically I used 2x4 by 8 and I ripped it between and in the middle. So from one of them I got the two of them side rails. Not only it's lighter, and also it costs much less than I would buy in in the store. 2x4 costs around $4, and such board costs alone of that size costs twice as much. So by cutting 2x4 by splitting it on my chainsaw, I mean not chainsaw, on the table saw, I basically each of them cost me $2. And here, unfortunately, I created a weak spot. I wanted to put the one continuous here in this spot and have a gap here and another gap there, but I just forgot, and unfortunately it happens. Now I think it shouldn't matter. 2x4 by 12 should be enough to hold everything, because mostly the power, the forces that will be acting on it will be pretty much acting in that direction and less in that direction. So hopefully it should be not important. Now here I bought the cheapest in Harbor Freight casters that can easily roll inside of it. And in order to basically, anyway, cut it out. So now let's talk about the carriage a little bit. The carriage will be based rolling on those casters. I have 4 of them. I mean, right now they are 3, but I have another one in another place. And here is the frame of the carriage. I have basically glued and screwed a couple of 2x4s. Here I wanted to make it a little longer than 2 feet, like 2.5 or actually 3 feet almost, and the width is 30 inches. It's basically the same as the spacing of that board here. And I didn't mention, I have 3 2x4s which I plan to space in between of those rails later. That will be giving the stiffness to the whole structure. Now, in order to kind of not prevent it, skew it, I will later cut perhaps some stretches of boards of wider size, and I'll just screw them or glue them, so it will not be twisting or moving around too much. And that's it. And here is my winch, $60 winch. It connects to the regular car battery. 2,000 pounds capacity. And here we have a remote controller which is wired. So obviously, it has forward and backward. It has additional, let's say, guides, which I will likely not use because they add the weight and I really don't need them. And this is the mount, quite heavy thing, the plate to mount those guides on. So this is something that you connect to the car, but I don't need them. And this winch comes with the hook and I'm not sure I will be using it because I will use just the carabiner. So we are now a couple of hours later, actually maybe 2 hours later to be more precise. Still we have some noise from my neighbors, quite noisy cars. So I'm right now gluing the whole frame, both rails. They are in located in opposite way, so they will be operating in when I flip them around. Right now I am just gluing them. So here is the top. This is 2x6 board that will have the pulleys at the top. This is the just another one, how to call it, it just provides the rigidity to the structure itself. This is the board that where the winch will be located, so I secured it with the glue and 3 fasteners. And this is the last one. This one I wanted to space a little bit from the bottom, because if later I will attach the extension to it, I want here to go one bolt and the other here. So that's why I didn't want to put it at the absolute bottom of it. So this is it. Now I'm waiting until it dries. Hey there, this is another day. Today I was building the carriage. So the carriage is pretty simple. It's a frame made of 2x4s, and then I built the perpendicular shelf for it. I supported it with another piece of 2x4, and I have attached the wheels to it. So now you can see that it rolls pretty nice. And also I added the plywood to form a simple shelving, so I can put anything that is small, not necessarily plywood sheets or anything like that. It can lift me anything I want to. Okay, so this is our first traveler. Okay, good boy, good boy. Now we are moving. No, 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 no. Stay there, stay there. Good boy. You don't like it, right? You don't like it. It's fun. All right, here is the continuation of the material lift saga. I am actually almost at the end of the construction. I have managed to attach the winch, 2,000-pound winch. I ended up attaching it with 2 screws, two bolts, and then countersunk a little bit. Unfortunately, I didn't have longer screws. I hope this should not matter really much. And here at the end, at the top, I bought the cheapest possible pulleys, and using a piece of wood cut here at the angle, I just attach them to the top symmetrically at the middle. So this should cause the rope, or the steel rope in this case, to go smoothly. Unfortunately, it should not prevent really much from the rope to fall off. So later in the future I may need to build this kind of casing here to prevent that from happening. I hope this should not become a problem, so maybe I don't need to do it. Now, Here I needed to do some modification. This is the top plank. This plank is not structural, so it doesn't serve a function. It's not glued and really attached strongly to the frame, because it serves only a function to hold this whole rails against the roof or the wall edge. So it will go at the top, and I can always unscrew it and move it somewhere else if needed. So that was the purpose of it. That's why it's not structural in that sense. I needed to cut the notch in it, because as it happens, it would collide with this rope going through. Maybe that it was better to cut it on the other side, but it looks like it shouldn't be problematic, really. We'll see how it goes. It's scratching a little bit against that wood, but it should work quite fine. And then cart. So this is the cart, and I just used metal attachment and then attached the rope with the carabiner. It's really cheap stuff. So the mount is U-shaped piece of hardware. I don't remember how they called, really. Something with the U in name, and so it works just fine. And now we can actually, I have attached that to a battery through this controller, which is just the switches, and we can actually test it. So right now I will simulate with my hand the gravitational pull, or maybe better with my leg, because I need that hand. And then using this controller I can pull or push the button. Alright, so when you want to go back, the only thing is just to push another button, and the winch will basically work the other way. Unfortunately, right now I don't have gravitational force pulling on the cart, so I'll just use my leg and I'll simulate that. So as you can see, the whole mechanism works this way. It's really nice and easy, and it just uses 12-volt battery. Alright, so this is it. The work is finished, and next time what I may need to do, I may need to add the two casters at the end, so this thing is much easier to manipulate because it's quite heavy. So I can drag it and install it, let's say, on this trailer. But right now I'm able to dismantle it and into two pieces, the carriage and the winch, and I'm able to put it myself on the trailer. So this thing should help me later in a couple of months when I start building the sheds on my property. It should allow me to lift the very heavy panels or boards onto the top of the frame, where I can basically receive them myself and do the construction of the roof or whatever I need to do. So that's the plan. Alright, so this is the end of the very simple build. Talk to you later. Enjoy.